Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every week we get together, talk about movies, TV, and online content. Help answer the question, why was there a big horror movie released this Halloween? Don't know. I'm your host, Ashley. Will you join me today, Dylan Play?
Yes, I would say I was somewhat disappointed with this year's October Halloween releases.
It's like nobody wanted, in a year with so many good horror movies, nobody wanted to put one out in October.
I don't know if it was a game of chicken. Everyone was like, nah, we won't put ours out then because
Just a
probably
guess,
someone else will go there. But yeah, it's just odd. There was like no big, like if you wanted to go watch a horror movie at the cinema, like in the past week to tie it up with like the week of actual Halloween, you know? No.
I mean, Black Phone was the closest. Black Phone 2.
Yeah, that came out at the start of the month though?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But then again, do they think people are going to go to the cinema on Halloween?
Not on Halloween.
Is the detraction?
I mean, people would. Guarantee people would. Especially if it's like, even if people wanted to go to like a Halloween party, right? Movie 6:30, 7 o'clock. People just go after. Like,
yeah, don't know. Very odd. So, yeah, I think it was a case of chicken and everybody. Although I guess you'd have to go back through history and like have horror movies actually performed it during Halloween. Is Halloween just a time to go back and watch horror movies you haven't watched before?
I mean, people watch a lot of the same like comfort horror movies. So
like Halloween.
Like Halloween, yeah. Trick or Treat. Friday the 13th. I know the class.
Another franchise we'll talk about later. Yes. Because on today's episode, we'll be talking about what's on Watch List series, going over some film news, giving thumbs to trailers, and giving you this week's top 3.
Hey guys, Dylan sliding out of the past into the future to interrupt this episode of What Do You Want to Watch to say I'm about to interject a little bit of an interview that I did with Owen Llewelyn talking about the R.I.P Man, a really interesting indie horror project coming out of the UK, where they're already working on a second one as well. So just check out a little bit of this, and then if you want to listen to the full conversation, you'll find that full interview on the What Do You Want to Watch podcast feed after this episode airs.
It's like a sort of psychological mystery thriller mixed with a slasher movie. So there's so a lot of it is, it's got a lot of kind of drama to, a lot of it is like a mystery drama, while there is a classic sort of serial killer slasher villain on the loose. And this particular one has a oral dental condition called anodontia, where he has no teeth and it causes him immense pain, and he's had a rough upbringing and spent most of his time in a mental health facility until he escaped, and he is causing havoc on a particular group of friends with his own motives. And each time he kills them, he mutilates their mouth and takes a personal tooth to make his own set of teeth as his own smile to regain the one he never had. Well, I say regain, to gain the one he never had.
It's definitely a unique setup purpose. Do you feel going into the like learning a bit more about the character, was there anything I guess that could ground it a bit more for yourself, because it's quite a out there, I guess, killer, you know? So
yeah, I mean, he's obviously a real person, like, well, not a real person, but you know, he's a human being. He's not a supernatural entity. He's someone who's never spoken, so he's someone who's always had a detachment from the world. And I think the pain caused from the condition, he's let consume him, and I think it's kind of given him always a detachment from being able to truly embrace the world around him. And yeah, I think it kind of detaches that compassion as well for other human beings, and he doesn't necessarily see other people with
Kicking things off, Dylan, you watched the new It prequel series. It's now streaming on HBO Max. Welcome to Derry. yeah, what do you think? How's it fit into the universe, and is it enough for you?
It's very good, and I'm getting that out of the way because I believe have on this show taught previously based on trailers and stuff, not being like negative. I feel like I've been like
Lukewarm.
Lukewarm. Like I don't know what the point of this is. Like where we like I never really got what they were going for with any of the trailers. And it sort of made it hard for me to get excited or really understand what we're doing. But having now actually seen 2 episodes, I'm very much enjoying it. The first episode has an absolutely insane opening scene, and it has an insane ending scene, which is always a good way to start a show because I saw social media pretty much attached to both ends of the episode, and obviously stuff happens in between, but the consensus was holy shit that opening and holy shit the ending. I will say the other smart thing they're doing is no clown so far, 2 episodes in. So any fear of, are we gonna like sort of lose the it factor by having too much Bill Skarsgård Pennywise actually on screen? And no, he just has not been seen at all so far. So he's definitely, you feel his presence because his powers, like he's causing all these fucked up hallucinations and monsters and stuff. Like we know as viewers that he's the cause of it, but no one's even said the name Pennywise so far, and no one's they haven't, so there's a little bit of mystery about it for the characters that as audience members, what's going on. But yeah, I mean, the first episode introduces, it's sort of hard to talk about because I'll say this, skip ahead 1 minute because I do want to, like, there's 2 episodes out. Skip ahead 1 minute if you don't want spoilers for it, because I don't want to say what really blew me away with the first episode, which is that, spoilers, they said the whole first episode, they introduce a cast of characters that all very much seem to fit the stereotypes for these sorts of shows, right? You've got like the more nerdy one, the kid, there's like the girl of the group, like it seems to be ticking a lot of the same group stuff that you have from the original Losers Club from the movie and book, right? And then we get to the end of the episode and all but one of the kids is dead. So like, it's like the episode ends with a monster coming. They're in a cinema, and this they're trying to find out one of their friends gone missing, and they start watching this movie, and like their friends on screen. They're like, "What the fuck?" They all start freaking out, and this fucked up like demon monster thing comes out of the screen, and it just kills all the kids but this one girl, and that's how the first episode ends. And you're like, "Holy fuck!" Like I just watched an entire episode being introduced to all these characters, these kids, assuming they're the main characters of this show, and they're all dead. I think, and that obviously did sort of, I think something like that for anyone like myself who watches a lot of horror stuff as well, automatically goes, "Oh, okay, we're not we're not just doing what you sort of expect, even though it makes you feel like that's what's going on at first." So we are left with the main character does seem to be the surviving girl, Lily, who has a past traumatic event that happened to her when she was a kid. Her father I can't remember exactly what it was. Father got stuck in some sort of machinery, and she had to like watch him die, and it like haunted her. And she went to, I can't remember all the Stephen King lore off the top of my head, but she went to a basically an asylum because she was so fucked up, and that is also ties into the largest. There's a lot of references to stuff in this that are outside the universe and more larger Stephen King universe, because like a lot of his stuff is connected, although not. We'll see how far they go down that rabbit hole of, is this secretly a backdoor, let's try to do the Dark Tower again sort of scenario. But yeah, so she seems to be the main, and basically after into the second episode, the police and the mayor are under heavy push to figure out who did the crime, and that's where they sort of start to play around more with the I think the racial undertones of what's actually happening in this city that may seem happy go, it's a great place to live from the shiny surface. then it's like, okay, well, who works at this cinema where this mass murder basically happened and these kids went missing because their bodies weren't found. Of course, it's the projectionist is a black dude, so it's the cops pin it on him. At the same time, we're also not flashing to the side because it makes it sound like we're but another main character is I think he's like a high ranking like pilot, and he's introduced in the first episode. He's just moved to Derry with his family, and straight away he's getting like, some people don't want to salute him, obviously, because he's black. He gets like jumped upon by all these people. But then in the second episode, we're also introduced to the fact that there's like a secret part of the military base where they're basically looking for what is described as potentially, I don't know, Pennywise adjacent or something. Like they're looking for a weapon that is definitely sounds supernatural. Is what it is. It's like a top secret project and all this sort of stuff. So they're digging. So there's a mystery going on there where it's like, what's happening there. His wife like moves to town in the second episode, and she gets a taste of what living in Derry is actually like when she's shopping and thinks everyone's being nice, and then she looks outside and sees these three kids chasing another kid down the street and beating the shit out of him, and everyone's just walking past like it's no issue at all. And she's like, is no one going to do anything? They're like, nah. You get the classic line with I think she's in like the dude in the shop just goes, boys will be boys. And no, she's like, she runs out there and like splits them up fighting, but then everyone in the town's now staring at her because how dare she, sort of thing. Especially there's and also that character, the whatever is the pilot dude, I can't remember the character's name. He's the grandfather of, I'm trying to remember, from the Losers Club. I can't remember the character's name off the top of my head, but so there is also there's another character in this who and again, I'm really bad at remembering the characters' names, but there is a character in this, Dick something or other. I don't remember his name. First name's Dick because it's Dick, but he's the caretaker in The Shining and Doctor Sleep. And this is set before those books and stories take place, so that's why he's not actually at the hotel yet. But he's someone who has the ability, as seen in those books, and not so much the Shining movie, because of course Stanley Kubrick version is a lot different. But in the flashback scenes that you see in Doctor Sleep, because that was more properly Stephen King, he's someone who can like sense when people have the shine. See if that comes into place. But yeah, there's so far it's very interesting of how it definitely does seem like it's doing a lot of building this, what it is really about, which is, although it's about this like parasitic supernatural demon thing that feeds on children every 27 years in this town, but it underneath it all is about the deep-seated hatred through generations that is in that town, and why Pennywise stays there, because there is so much hate there through generations that he loves, that he can feed upon the hatred and the fear that's built upon that, and that's why he picks there. And they're definitely building upon that key aspect, I think, of the story, while also putting in all these little Easter eggs and stuff, building a larger Stephen King universe, which I'll be intrigued to see if they're going to try and do something more of that, especially if Andy Machete, if he wants to, apparently he's got plans for 3 seasons of this, so I'm like, I don't know, 3 seasons of this while building backdoor piloting other shit, I don't know.
Yeah, it seems to be pretty well received so far. I've seen everybody, like, I've seen articles like, we should have seen the ending of the first episode coming, and like stuff like that, or everybody's making a big deal about the opening credits.
Cool.
Because
I didn't have it in the first episode, or maybe my player didn't do it, but the second episode when the opening credits started, it's just like this real like happy song. I don't know what the song name is or whatever is playing, and it's like all these like real 50s style cartoon where it's like murals of people shopping, and there's little just teasers of like Pennywise in the background and all this. Like, it's really
all right. So check out it. Welcome to Derry on HBO Max. So I finished watching season 5 of Slow Horses, of course, one of Apple TV's most popular shows, I think, arguably. The spy show that keeps delivering every single year. starring Gary Oldman and Jack Lowden and Kristen Scott Thomas. Another solid season. I think the final 2 episodes kind of elevated it above where the trajectory of the show was kind of going this season. But it was really fulfilling and really enjoyable. Lots of laughs, lots of character developments, growth, and that kind of stuff. And again, end of the season 6 trailer drops after the first episode, so it's crazy. It's really interesting.
You know what? The craziest thing about that to me is the fact that they've been able to keep that up since, like, it wasn't a 1 season, like, it wasn't a thing where they're like, oh, we just backed seasons 2 and 3 and like we're good. Like, they have just kept that going as part of that show. Like, we're so entrusted in the show that we just
they've made the decision so far in advance to renew that they've allowed them to continue.
It feels like you get a new season every like 6 months.
Yeah, it's only been probably like every 11 months to get a new season, so
it's crazy though.
It's pretty great. Really enjoyed it. This is the final season with Will Smith, the writer Will Smith, show running the show. So next season will be taken over by somebody else. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any subtle changes or tonal changes and that kind of stuff. But Slow Horses continues to go on strong, so strong that another of Mick Herron's novel series has been was greenlit over at Apple TV. Cemetery Road Down. No, Down Cemetery Road. It's I think they said it's a miniseries, but who knows at this stage. So it's based on another Mick Herron series around a character called Zoe Bohm, who's played by Emma Thompson in this series. And it follows her and a woman named Sarah Trafford, played by Ruth Wilson, who there's an explosion that takes place in like their small town. And like everybody goes to see, as soon as there's an explosion, there's a huge group of onlookers trying to see what's happened and that kind of stuff, because they're having a dinner party and one of the guests is like friends with the people who live there. And a small child is recovered from the wreckage. Apparently like a cupboard fell on her and like protected her from a lot of the blast or the rest of the house falling on top of her. So the next day, the friend's child wants to send a card to the little girl. Sarah says the hospital's on the way to work. She'll go in, but she's told there's no visitors allowed to go see this little girl. And there's a lot of eerie and weird stuff happening around. It just doesn't kind of feel right, to the extent like they've removed the little girl from images of in the newspapers of her being rescued and that kind of stuff. So she thinks there's some sort of ulterior motive or bigger conspiracy going on. So she enlists the help of a investigator, Zoe, and her husband, Joe, who help her kind of find out what's behind it, all this. Of course, we as audience members know what's kind of have an idea of what's happening, because we also track a high official in the government, in the Ministry of Defense, called C, and his underling Hamza, who are talking about a covert operation that went wrong, or a covert operative who went rogue and was behind the blast, and then trying to cover it up and that kind of stuff. So that element kind of takes a little bit of the tension out of it, because it's like you kind of remove some of the mystery around it. Obviously, the tension is like how close are they going to get? Was the covert operation behind everything? How close were they to the mystery and that kind of stuff? And there's like a big, shocking death at the end of the first episode that kind of takes you by surprise and like kind of raises the stakes, I guess.
Is this a one book thing or another series? Is this a one?
This is another series.
Oh, good.
A separate series written by the author of the same Slaughter Houses, from the producers of Slaughter Houses, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it was like, because that's like what, 20 books or something ridiculous for the Slow Horses. So like,
it's only 9. So
yeah, but I was like, is this another like?
It could be. There's like 4 books I think I just looked at. So,
okay.
But yeah, Emma Thompson playing very un-Emma Thompson like. Well, not totally un-Emma Thompson like. She's playing like a gruff kind of, take no shit kind of investigator, hard edged, which is really enjoyable. She's not in the first episode a hell of a lot, but I think she'll clearly be in the episodes a lot more. Ruth Wilson's really great. Yeah, it's good, but it's not slow horses. the dialogue and the I know the writing of the first episode is not up to that level, but it's still an enjoyable enough mystery thriller, I guess, from the first episode. So check that one out over on Apple TV Plus as well. Dylan, there might not have been any horror movies in the cinemas, but you watched a hell of a lot of horror movies at home. Let's run through a bunch of them. Talk to me about Hell of a Summer.
Hell of a Summer is. Hold on, I'm going to check who the other person's name. It was it's one of the directors is Finn Wolf. This is the one where
Wolfhard,
Finn Wolfhard's directed. So he directed it alongside Billy Burke, who is one of the other kids in it. Yeah, I think we watched the trailer for this.
Yes, we did.
I feel like we did. Yeah, so it's basically it's okay. I found it fun because of what's the guy's name? Fred Hershinger. Hershinger? So how you say his name?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Who we've seen in other stuff as well.
Yeah, he's probably the most prominent the most prominent person in this. But yeah, he's a lot of fun. He played one of the emperors in Gladiator 2, actually. But he plays like a I don't know. I think he's supposed to be like mid-20s, heading towards 30, sort of like too old to be going to camp sort of scenario. And his mum's dropping off at the start, and she doesn't like that he's still going there. But he loves camp. He loves it. Like he's not going as a camper. He's going as a whatever they call it. You look after the kids sort of person. Counselor. That's it. Yeah. So Friday 13th.
Mm-hmm.
You're a counselor or you're Freddy. And when he gets there, the people who own the camp are missing. That's because in the opening scene of the movie, you see that they've got killed. So you already know that something's off when they get there. And he arrives, and quickly the rest of the counselors get there, which including, Billy Burke, as I said, Finn Wolfhard, bunch of other people, all, young adult characters and actors. And they, someone starts killing people. Like it's a simple cut, as straightforward of a just meant to be a camp slasher as you could probably get. It's not super serious. It is funny, including to the part where I think they show this sort of in the trailer. I can't remember if this is slight spoilers or not, but it's like halfway through the movie, they all assume that it's Fred Hershinger's character because they're like, he's a bit of an outcast weirdo. No, like he struggles to make friends, sort of dude. So they'll assume it's him, and then they'll like tape him up and whatever else, and he sort of escapes. And then they reveal who the actual real killers are, which not spoilers. Shockingly, it's people within the group. It's not like some random dude living out in the woods sort of thing. So then they start getting really annoyed that they assume it to be him, and they start arguing, and like it's silly. It's a bit of fun. It's not something I'll definitely watch again, but I enjoyed it for what it was.
Then you also watched Caddo Lake.
Yeah, this is on Binge, I think is where they got, because it was a Max original, but this came out like I think a month before Max. So, I didn't mind this. I'd seen a lot of things similar to this before, but it is a style of storytelling that I find a bit of fun. So it basically follows Dylan O'Brien's character, and it's set and Eliza Scanlon's character, who play like they're very they live in in Mississippi. What are we talking about? Like Gator country, on swamp country.
Sure.
So, sort of, living
New Orleans,
sort of,
Florida.
Yeah, Florida. That sort of thing. And Dylan O'Brien's character is sort of traumatized from his mother's death earlier in his life, and he's like sort of struggling. And you get the sense early in the film he struggles with relationships and stuff. Eliza Scanlon's character is like she's been scorned sort of by her dad running away or going missing, and her mum's like got a new boyfriend, and she's like early 20s, I guess, very much like living a like fuck you mum sort of attitude and stuff. She's got a little sister now, but through her mum with her new partner and all this sort of stuff. And weird shit starts happening where there's sounds. We're cutting between both characters, which will eventually intersect for spoilerific reasons. But they start interconnecting when her Liza Scanlon's character, her sister, runs away and goes missing. And then people are, all through town, they're looking for where she's gone, and weird shit starts happening. Can't really say much about spoilers, but there was a certain stage where probably about halfway through it, I guessed how everything was going to play out, only because, and I can't even say what it made me think of, because then it would really just spoil exactly what happens. But it reminded me of a certain Netflix show that I'm quite a fan of. And it's not saying that this is anywhere near as good as that, but it started to hint towards a lot of similar story beats, and that turned out to pretty much be how they played out. So, yeah, I enjoyed it because it played into certain themes of the stories I like, but I've seen done better, including the Netflix show I'm not going to say the name of, but I've mentioned plenty of times on here in years past.
Mm-hmm. Then you watched a film called Grafted.
Shudder original. This one follows a girl who so at the start of the movie, she's a little girl. Her dad's shown to be some sort of scientist, and he's basically trying to make a cure for him and his daughter. They've both got really big birthmarks, or sort of like that sort of thing, and he's like trying to cure them or whatever. However, the invention he's working on, which is this like skin grafting thing, when he tests it at the start of the movie, just instead of like just curing that part of his skin, it goes over his entire face and basically envelops, and he dies more or less. So then we sort of skip ahead. She's now a teenager. She gets sent to live with her, or her auntie takes her in, and then she's living in America. And she's, social outcast for many different reasons, including, she's not very, she constantly wears a scarf because she's very like body dysphoria because of how she's been, I guess, taught to feel about herself because of even her father to a degree, like saying that we are ugly, we've got to find a cure for it. And she's got her father's research book that she wants to continue and basically find the cure that or fix what he messed up in his own research. So she starts working on that at school, and amongst the same time, she's her I think it's a cousin she's living with, who's very from the outset introduced as the she's she's one of the popular girls at school. She hangs out with all the pretty girls, and has the boyfriend over, and all the very much the opposite to socially awkward, nerdy girl carrying around a science book trying to figure out how to solve a weird skin grafting thing that her father's created. And as the film goes on, once she figures out how to make said thing, without again explaining everything that happens, it goes down the direction of she gets pushed too far and people start to die, and skin grafting techniques may be used to. She may solve it and get it to work, and suddenly that skin grafting technique allows her to wear other people's faces and pretend to be them. And that's the direction the film goes. I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It plays on similar themes to bloody hell, what's the Demi Moore? Whatever. It's like a lot of, obviously, it's a body horror movie that follows on a lot of
the Substance.
The Substance, thank you. With what is perceived as beauty and what people are willing to do to chase that and do that and all that sort of stuff. So I enjoyed it. I thought.
All right. You also watched a film called House of Eden.
Yeah, I didn't like this. So this is made by Chris Collins, who is a very popular TikToker, and I do enjoy her TikTok videos, but this is it is a testament to you can make funny TikToks doesn't necessarily mean that those ideas can. It's not even 90 minutes. I feel like the movie was like, I don't know, hour 15 or something. It doesn't go. But it's a found footage horror movie. It's her and Selena Myers, is another TikToker, YouTuber, who are they're friends in real life. They're basically just playing versions of themselves, going out to a house in the middle of the woods who they've heard it might be haunted, and they're trying to film all these videos, and it just look, yeah, don't watch it. It doesn't do anything new. It doesn't do anything exciting. I don't think there's anything like I would struggle to find something that I thought was worth pointing out as a positive about this, to be honest. I think actually, you know what? The last 10 minutes is good. I quite enjoyed. I was like, the last 10 minutes introduces some. I was like locked in for 10 minutes. Otherwise, everything else before then, I was like, this is a struggle.
All right. You also watched Hell House LLC Lineage, the latest film in the Hell House series.
Yeah, so this one takes a different direction. All the Hell House films have been found footage / fake documentary entries. They're all like Handycam or fake doco sort of things. This one makes the switch to traditional movie style, like narrative and cinematic structure. And I didn't think it was very good. I don't know. Like I quite enjoy the Hell House movies, and I have enjoyed the lore that has been set up across these movies in a way that you wouldn't expect to build an interesting lore out of a especially when the first movie is just this like very basic premise of people like buying a haunted house and then this fucking clown mask. But you're like, how do you build such a that you manage to tie back family history and all this sort of stuff? But yeah, at this stage, I found this a struggle to sit through. It really made me wonder why you should have stopped on the last one. Really, the last one, which I can't even remember the name of, was the perfect. Just you should have ended it there. Is how I feel about it.
You watched a film called Other.
Yes, this one stars Olga something or other. I can't remember her last name. Hold on, I feel bad if I can't get it. Olga Kurilenko, who is she's been what the fuck? She's in she's in the shitty Bond movie and then something else.
She was in Quantum of Solace.
Yeah,
then everybody knows her as Taskmaster.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, Taskmaster. Yeah. Yes, the classic.
Classic role.
Classic role. Yep. So she plays. So movie starts. You're introduced to her like typical. It's like it's fine. Her mother dies, so she gets called back to like sort of look into her mother's affairs. When you get there, you get the idea that there's something weird about her mum, and she has security cameras set up everywhere. House is very weird. There's like I guess you could. It's like, is this person just crazy, or did they think someone was after them? Like the amount of security stuff she has is upteenth, right? And then she's exploring the house. You start to hear weird noises and weird stuff, and you know that something's there because at the start of the movie, you see how her mother dies, which is basically, you see her, well, to a degree, you see her mother walk outside. She's following a noise. She's following what you assume to be some sort of tracker, and you hear something run outside. Is it a dog? Does she have a weird fucked up pet? Like the mystery is, you know that there's something that the mother had there because she wasn't freaked out that it existed, but was like, why is this thing outside sort of thing, trying to find it. So the mystery for most of the movie is not that it's not is there something, it's what is the something. And how they go about revealing that, I thought was like it definitely stretches a bit far. I think like to keep the tension up a little bit in the middle of the movie, it could have been shortened, I think. But by the time you get to the end, I did think the reveal was, I mean, it's a bit fucked up. What is fucked up? What the reveal actually is, but how it ties back into some stuff that's said early in the movie, and something else that's like sort of periodically brought up throughout the movie, I thought was good. So I thought this one was decent. Didn't blow me away, but decent.
Okay. You also watched Strange Harvest.
Yeah, I was reading about this one on, I don't actually remember where. It was some horror website. as like one of the more interesting ones of the year, so I had to watch this. This is like a it's all put together like I guess it's like they're mimicking all the Netflix serial killer docos. Like it's played out like it's a one of those. Like from the get go, it's like he was the serial killer who murdered 12 people, blah 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 blah. And they introduce the cops, and they're talking about like how then it's a lot of talking heads with the police and some of the people, the friends of the people who were killed, and all this sort of stuff. So it's basically like a serial killer documentary, but like a fake one. And like there's no like crazy twist or anything where at the end it doesn't get away from that. Like it's not like at the end the camera's picked up and he suddenly comes back to life or anything like that. Spoilers if that's what you're going expecting it. But it does make it fun to, you have to play within certain confines of, I guess, doing this genre, I guess, of a like trying to make a fake serial killer documentary that you might see on Netflix. It's, you know, it allows to do some interesting things, but also you can't do normal sort of scares because it's like, well, they're not going to have footage of this, or you're not going to have footage of that. Like they might flash some crime scene photos on the screen and be like, warning, these are graphic or whatever, and it's just like someone's dead body that's being like cut open or something. But you don't have, like, you never see the serial killer doing anything, or you know what I mean? Like it's sort of is an interesting way to try and tell a story. And for that, I did quite enjoy it. I thought like it's different enough. I can't say I've watched something like this. So
all right. And then finally, I guess you revisited The Descent.
Yeah, that was my horror. That was my Halloween in cinema movie. So the indie theater here for I'd like to know what and whose decision was, like, out of all the movies,
out of all horror movies, like we could pull. They had a Descent showing. They did show 2 or 3 that night, but they started off like a family friendly. Like I think they had Nightmare Before Christmas on or something. So I think they just like built up this to the more adult scary
stuff
stuff
as the night, because the indie theater is just one theater, right? It's not like 2. It's like they're showing movie one after another. So
could be because it came out 20 years ago.
Oh, that could make sense. Yeah, I guess 2005. Yeah,
2005. Yeah.
I like The Descent. I never watched it in cinemas though. So when I saw it, I was like, "Fuck yeah, I get to watch The Descent on the big screen." That's a lot of fun. So if you haven't seen The Descent, which you haven't, there's no fucking way. It's a Neil Marshall written and directed film that was very popular when it came out amongst horror circles and movies in general. It was very, I think, original when it came. I remember watching it when I was in high school and thinking it was like super fucked up and tense. Not for anything in particular that happened in it, but because the plot is that there's this group of girls that go, what do you call it, like cave diving? I don't know. Like they go for caves, right? They go through this cave, and an early twist, if you want to call it that, is simply that they all think they're going into chartered caves that people, like, you can buy maps, they tell you where to go, like it may seem scary or like you're on a real adventure. However, the caves you're going into are looked after by people. They're checked, you know, they're meant to be safe. They're known. People will come check them if you get trapped, like you think. However, one of the girls doesn't want that. She actually, they're down in unknown territory. They get, of course, part of the cave like collapses early in the movie, and all that, like they're down there, and I'll tell you about the first half, 7/10. I don't know, like definitely over half of the movie is mostly this very claustrophobic cave diving experience. It's very dark, which is why I was sort of interested to see how it would play on the big screen, because it is one of those movies, because it's so shot with natural lighting for the most of it. Like you really do to give you that sense of how it would feel to be in those scenarios. But it also means it's quite hard to see the characters all the time, especially if they're climbing through these areas and stuff. And there's sections of the movie where there's they just don't have good lighting, or they're or when their lamps begin to go out and stuff. Like it's hard to see what's going on. The second half of the movie is where they introduce there's creatures down there, because of course there is. Which I actually have a statue of somewhere. These little fucked up things that basically are never really explained, even in the sequel, which isn't as good as the first one. But they're sort of they hear, right? They're like bat sensors, you know. They can't see you, but they got super hearing basically. So they then have to attempt to survive and get through that. In the back of this, what you also have, I think the most important element that sort of makes the tension of the film even more heightened is that the main girl, Sarah, at the start of the movie, she's in a car. You see like her and her friends. They're on like they're doing this like extreme boating thing. Like you get the outset at the start of the movie. This group of friends, they like doing like extreme sport shit, right? They're doing like this boating thing or whatever. And then she gets in the car with her husband and her daughter, who's like 8 or something like that. And then quickly there's a car crash early in the movie. Pole like shoots straight through the car, kills her husband and her daughter. So it's like she's already, and then we skip a year ahead to where they're like trying to go on this, let's rekindle everyone's friendships and get her out of the house sort of thing, go cave diving. But she's still haunted by this traumatic event for her life, which does mean when you're trapped down in a fucking cave and having a complete anxiety meltdown, and they already warn you that, you know, that sort of location can make you see and hear things, those memories and that like post-traumatic stress of all that starts becoming part of what's happening to her as well. So yeah, The Descent I think is a really good really good film, and it was nice to be able to see it on the big screen.
All right. Dylan, this Halloween I also got into the supernatural spirit.
I'm sure you did.
I checked out the new Australian adaptation of Ghosts, the British TV series that was then adapted into an American TV series, and has now got an Australian version available. It's airing weekly on Channel 10, but all episodes are now available on Paramount Plus. So if you got a taste of it on Channel 10, just go to Paramount Plus. You can watch all of it. So I've watched the first 2 episodes. So I've watched like the first couple episodes of the UK version and maybe the first season also.
This is the one with Michelle Brazier in it. So you're not going to know that. She works with she does a lot of stuff with the Auntie Donna guys.
Yes. Yeah, she
plays on her Instagram.
Yes. It stars a young couple played by Tamala Shelton and Ron Witt, Kate and Sean, in Perth, trying to find like a new like a house to live together, like, you know, and because we're in this property rental crisis, all the places they're looking for are shit. Thankfully, her great uncle dies at the start of the episode from a bunch of boxes falling on him, and she is bequeathed into his will this massive like property in the middle of nowhere. So only issue is the house is filled with ghosts who don't want these new people to come and take over this house. They want to, you know, have the house to themselves now that there's no living occupier, to the extent where they may accidentally cause Kate to have an accident where she's in a coma for several days, and when she comes out of the coma, she's able to see the ghosts. That's the premise. I mean, the other thing is Kate and Sean decide they're going to move into the house and they're going to make it like a B&B or a Airbnb. No, just a bread and breakfast or a motel or whatever. That's the dream. Give up the city life, move to the country. But now she has to deal with all these eclectic ghosts who have died on the property over the last 200 years. So you've got yeah. What would you say her name was?
Michelle Brazier.
Michelle Brazier plays Lindy, a 1980s aerobic instructor who's very obsessed with fame and very pleased with you know, being a celebrity and how important that is. You've got Satan, a bikie who died there in the 90s. You've got a 1900s socialite called Miranda, a Irish potato famine survivor, Eileen, played by Mandy McElhenney, who people would remember as the Brenda from the Kutut ads. Remember? You see her face, you remember who. You know, there's the insurance Kutut and Brenda.
Nah, maybe that was
the insurance ads.
Do I have those? Tassie? Who knows?
Don't know. Tweet us if you know who Kutut is. Maybe I'm showing
Never
them
heard of that.
show my age.
Google it. How do you spell
There's
that?
also June, who's a Rush era Chinese miner who died with no pants, and also Gideon, who was a naval officer who apparently is like frenemies with Captain Cook. You know, I'm enjoying it so far. It's definitely, they've added that Australian flavor stuff. Maybe like going a little bit too hard. I don't like the jokes are solid, but there's not super memorable. The only one I remember is Linny is talking about what it's like to meet other famous people, and she's like, "Listen, I met Rolf Harris, and he, after he wobbled he gave me a couple wobbles. So I was like, this guy's completely harmless." It's pretty funny. If you know, you know. And other references like that. So, it's a good time. I think it's only 8 episodes of the first season, so check that out on Paramount Plus, or I guess you can check it out weekly on Channel 10. Dylan, you checked out a film I wanted to watch last year and never got around to watching, Self-Reliance, starring Jake Johnson.
Yeah, we watched I'm going to talk about this on the trailer for here. So it's a Jake Johnson written, directed, and starring film in which he is at the start of the movie, basically walking home from work, and Andy Samberg pulls up in a limo, and he's like, "Oh my god, Andy Samberg, I love you. You're so great." And Andy Samberg's like, "Yeah, get in the limo. Anyway, I'm just going to take you to this place," and he gets dropped off at this house. And then these people are like, "Hey, do you want to play a game where people will try and kill you? And if you do, you win all this money." And he's like, "Nah, fuck that. I'm not doing that." And they're like, "Oh, but like one of the rules is if you're with people, they can't kill you." And he's like, "Oh, fucking easy. I'll do the game. Hell yeah." And he says yes. And then you cut to a scene of him trying to explain it all to his family, how this is a game that's going to happen, so they can't leave him. And they all go, "You're a fucking idiot. You're insane." And then they all leave him. And he's like, "What the fuck?" So then he basically ends up putting out like a Craigslist ad where he's hold on, I don't want to explain the whole movie, but there are a lot of just funny setup things. Then, because no one will help him, his family, he goes and meets a homeless person and begins like paying him basically to be his friend. So he has to stay with him at all points because then no one can kill him. And then he puts out a Craigslist ad that's like, "Hey, is anyone else playing this crazy game? Because maybe we should meet up." And he gets a response, and that person's played by what's her fucking name? Why am I forgetting her name? Anna Kendrick. I read a book. Goddamn. Anna Kendrick. Yeah. So then they end up teaming up. Because you got to survive 30 days to win the money. It's just full of weird, dumb ideas. I found it a lot of fun. I do think you have to be open to. There's a certain level of absurdist humor to it, I guess, that you have to be open to finding it funny. I also think like it could have used potentially another 10, 15 minutes to help it hit certain notes. Like there's a few scenes, like it's barely 90 minutes. I think this is I know often talk about movies like they should have been shorter. This is one where I'm like, I don't know. I feel like 10, 15 minutes could have helped build, like especially the relationship he builds with Anna Kendrick's character a bit more and stuff like that. But yeah, look, obviously I thought it was quite funny. I think there's some funny lines in there. Jake Johnson, if you like Jake Johnson playing Jake Johnson, then you'll like the movie. I feel like that's pretty much the pitch, because it is just him doing his thing, especially because it's written, directed, and it's him doing his usual Jake Johnson stuff he does in most movies. So yeah, if that sounds like you'd like it, then you would probably like it.
All right, I believe you got sent a actual piece of physical media to talk about. Tell me about Prisoner of War.
That's right, baby. DVD right here in my hand. Do I want a screen or a DVD? Physical media, baby. Hashtag for the win. So this is a Scott Adkins starring film in which he wrote it. It's directed by Louise Mandelaw. But so I will say it's okay. It's if you like Scott Adkins doing Scott Adkins things, and by that I mean Scott Adkins is probably the most prominent action movie guy that, even if you don't know his name, he's either taught a lot of the action stars you like, or done stunts for them, or like or played the goon or background guy and had a fight with a lot of prominent action things. Like he does good fight scenes, and this movie is basically just a bunch of fight scenes. The setup is that he plays like a British soldier who, during World War II, crashes and is captured by Japanese forces, and they're taken to this camp, who's ruled over by this guy, who, I guess, for some sense of honor, because he escapes at the start, and then the next day is like brings out his, he calls out this dude to basically fight Scott Adkins' character. This is big tanky fucking dude. And of course you get the classic scene where this guy like beats the shit out of someone, or two dudes, I think, and kills them to really like show like this dude can fight. And then Scott Adkins comes out and like fucking super kicks him in one go, like he fucking just goes down. So then the captain, I don't know, the commander, I don't know what the official, the Japanese commander of this camp, right? He, through some sense of honor, refuses to basically just kill this guy because he keeps winning these fights, and he keeps making him do other fights and stuff. He wants to kill him honorably, I guess. And throughout the film, he builds a relationship with this guy, and also other people that are captured in the camp. And I mean, there's not much more to it than that, really. The fight scenes are pretty good, but I will say there is a wild mix of consistency to. I saw some people complaining online, and I was like, okay, I'm glad it wasn't just me. But he has a shirt on at one stage early in the movie that has like stains on it because he's like rolling around in the mud, and it just keeps changing. Like I was like, whoever's job it was to like consistency coordinator or whatever for this, you failed, my dude. You did not do a good job at all. So, yeah, it was okay. It was okay. It's just at this stage, Scott Adkins movies are just Scott Adkins movies.
Mm-hmm. All right. Then you watched a documentary, The White House Effect.
Yeah, I really like this. I think the funniest thing I saw was when I went and checked into this on Tracked. I think it was Tracked. It's like the one comment on there is like, more leftist propaganda. Which is so funny when you actually watch the movie, because the movie is basically about how when climate change, or as it was called, and for the most of this movie, as it was first introduced, the greenhouse effect, and it's how we get the name the White House effect, was, when it's first introduced and talked about, is such a like, hey, this is an issue, we need to bring everyone together. It's not about politics, it's not about left versus right, it's just about what we got to do to
help the environment,
help save the planet, so we can keep living on this damn circle. And then the movie is about, pretty much, it chronicles maybe a 20-year period. It mostly focuses on, well, it follows a few different presidencies, but its biggest aspect is George Bush Sr.'s presidential time, and how he came into the presidency, and in one of his early speeches is like, I'm going to be the environmental president, and he's very like pro, like making all those things. And then as time progresses, as for different things as the movie covers, it goes from being an issue of humanity, humanitarian need, I guess, to a political one. And the movie really does a good job at showing, because the best thing about it, and this is probably one of my favorite documentaries I've watched this year, so I would suggest watching it, because at this stage it's going onto my short list. It's no talking heads. It's 99% just news footage and stuff, just edited together in a way that just tells the story, which I think is its own special kind of storytelling that requires skill. I say 99% because like there are a couple times, like even like the last thing the movie ends with is like a graph that shows, global warming. It's just one of those shocking things when you see it's like start of human race. It's like beep, 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 up, down, up, down. It's like first oil dig happens or whatever, and it's like beep, like it's just fucking hell. Fake news. It's all crazy. Yeah, that's why I find it so funny, because the movie really is about how a humanitarian issue becomes a political issue, and no one tells you that, but that is the sense I got from watching it, and that's my takeaway. Considering there's no one there directly telling you what you're supposed to take away from the film, but that's my takeaway, and that's why I found that guy's comment so funny, like more leftist propaganda, and I'm like, but this is the point, like you're viewing something that's like, hey, global warming issue, and it's like you're taking that straight to like a more leftist propaganda. Like the point of the movie is saying that how did we get here? How did this issue become a political thing? Sort of thing. So, yeah, I would definitely recommend watching it. I thought it was very, very
good. All right, let's talk about some funny stuff. Hopefully, in the stand-up section. Dylan, talk to me about Joe DeRosa. I never promised you a rose guard.
Yeah, never watched any of his stuff before. This is free on his YouTube channel. I was doing some looking on the Reddit. I think it's just /stand up. I was just looking to see what people thought were good ones from this year, especially in a world where I'm like, just last year I put out that list of stand-ups. I was like, I'll go looking for some other stuff I might have missed, so I can do another list of good stand-up for the year. What are the hidden gems I've missed? Not the big stuff. And this was a recommended one. He is like, I know the guy because he's in Better Call Saul. Is how I recognize the guy. I'm like, you're a guy that played a character in Better Call Saul for like 10 episodes. That's how I recognize him. I've never seen anybody stand up. I thought it was quite good though. Especially that what style shall we call it? Let's call it angry comedy at directed at everyone, and just a very like, hey, the world's fucked, and let me just point out some crazy things. I think my favorite joke in it was pointing out how he was like making a bit about how, and this is the problem about talking about stand-up because you can just butcher everyone's jokes. But anyway, but he has a bit where he's like talking about how if any left or right wants to get the political agenda across, just like use kids. He's like, look at Greta Thunberg. Like when she was a little kid, everyone wasn't saying shit, and then the left toured her around, took her out of school. That shit's illegal, but they took her out of school, toured her around. But now that she's an adult, 23, everyone's happy to go, shut the fuck up, bitch. Like, and I'm like, yeah, that's true. No one was saying shit until she turned to an adult. Now everyone's like, fuck that bitch, And I was like, yeah, that's fair.
I think there were some people saying
probably, but it wasn't very prominent. When she was a child, everyone's like, when she's old enough, I will tell her where to fucking go.
Yeah. All right. You also watched something from another unknown, Mark Maron, Panicked.
Yeah, this had been on my list for a while because it was his big release for this year. So this one's on HBO Max. It's very good. It's probably my favorite stand-up so far I've watched this year. And I mean, Mark Maron's Mark Maron, right? Like, what do we do? Like the guys.
He's a straight shooter.
He's a straight shooter. He's very, very funny. Just the way it starts too. Like, it's like, it comes out, everyone's cheering, clapping. Like, thank you. He just goes. How about he doesn't really say that? He's just like, well, I didn't think it would get this fucked. Like, it's just straight away like, it just starts going, just tearing into fucking Trump and whatever else straight away. But like, without even saying his name, you know exactly what he's talking about there. It's quite funny. But he goes in this whole tangent. And then I think the funniest thing though is that eventually he goes, but he like sort of comes down after like 20 minutes of this and then says, like I've been trying to like think about it, and I'm never going to be like one of those arena stand-up comics, and I'm never going to play at casinos because I don't think my fucking fans would be at casinos, or if my fans were in Las Vegas, it's probably because they got dragged there by a friend, or you'd never catch me in fucking Las Vegas, like, like kind of thing. So he's like, but I understand, like maybe some people just need like, maybe they just need some, understand people just may want me to bring them some happiness and just to do some bits. So, that's what I'm going to try and do now. I'm going to try and just do some comedy that's just meant for fun. And he goes like silent for a second, and he's like, so when I was a kid, we had this babysitter who I think made me want to suck his dick. Like, it's just this whole like goes, and then the crowd just goes, he's like, yeah, sorry, I might have said that. He just goes on this whole, like, it just, yeah, has a wild bit. And he gets down to somehow on the whole journey, this stand-up special ends up with him talking about how he nearly died on a hike. Because he's like 60, somewhere between like 60 to 65 now. Like passed out and all this sort of stuff. and then he somehow magically ends with him tying it into a Taylor Swift song, which he plays through his phone. And he also like talks about how the sound people were like, we can just queue up the song if you want to play it. And he's like, no, I need to do it from my phone because I want to be in control and all. It's just, it's quite funny. Mark Maron's very funny. There's not a single part of this that wasn't good. It's all stellar. And I hope we get many more Mark Maron stand-ups now that his podcast isn't around anymore.
All right. Also watched this stand-up special by Mo Amir, Wild World.
This was very funny as well. This made me laugh quite a bit. I've never watched his show on Netflix, but watching this made me want to watch it. I think his show's just called Mo or something. Like I've seen it on there. I've never watched it. And I didn't really know. But he talks about it in this. And like I didn't know anything about this guy, right? But having now watched the stand-up and getting a sense of his comedy and stance or like just him, definitely I'm probably going to check out the show now because this is very funny. Basically, the moment I feel like for stand-up quite often, like I have turned off 2 today that I got 10 minutes into. I went, nah, not for me, sort of thing. Quite often when they start making no names. But I wouldn't even know them to be honest. But like both times it was usually 10 minutes in they start making trans jokes or some shit, and I'm just like,
okay,
oh crazy that we're doing that. Like every other fucking 90%. Or no, one of them was a trans joke, and then the other one was the 10 minutes in going. Anyway, how crazy it is that we can't joke about what we ordered, and I was like, oh fuck it out, like fuck off. Actually, Mark Maron does a very good bit where he makes fun of Theo von whatever his name is, Theo von whatever his name is, the podcaster dude. Yeah, he does a good bit where he makes fun of him. That was quite enjoyable as well. As a side note. He's but the first 5 minutes of his, I was like, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready for my journey. This because it starts with him basically going, goes on a little bit of a tangent about like Free Palestine at the start. I was like, oh, interesting. Let's start at stand up. And then that transitions into fuck DJ Khaled. and then he goes on like a rant about how he's like, fuck this dude. He's not saying anything and all this sort of stuff. And he like goes on thing. I was like, okay, I'm in for the journey. And then, it sort of goes on talking about other just different stuff that he's gone through, including like the struggles of getting the show made and what stuff he's wanted to do to keep, throughout his career, including that, like wanting to keep some authenticity to his culture within it. How he's like tried to like film stuff in the past where people wouldn't give him certain venues and stuff like that because they didn't want like their venues used for, I guess, what they were afraid he would talk about. He does, I don't like. It's very good. Like he's a storyteller, comedian, I guess is the way. Like there's a few good stories amongst it going on. One of the longest ones that was quite funny was when his wife was giving birth. And I think he said, I don't know if he was exaggerating because comedians, but I think he said something like she was in labor for 27 fucking hours and she doesn't have a epidural or anything like that. And it does like this whole funny bit where he's like trying to help her because he's like, I read the books, man. And he's like, says like, just breathe in, breathe out. And then she like screams, goes off. It's like, call the fucking nurses, get here. And then they get there and they just repeat exactly pretty much what he said. And he's like, I'm standing in the background going, I fucking told you so. Yeah, it was quite funny. I would recommend. This is probably out of the 4 and 2 halves I watched today, this is the Mark Maron one, but they're my 2 favorites.
All right. We'll get to some more laughs in the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. Dylan, you watched the big Australian release on Netflix this week, Son of a Donkey.
So this is basically just a new season of Super Wogs TV series. But I think they changed the name because I know even when they released Super Wog, there was a whole thing where they, outside of Australia, they changed the name to Super Son or something because of the whole, like, wogs are very common, but also like considered a racial, could be a slur. So they in certain countries, they changed the title because they didn't want it to be, because it's still considered a slur in some places. Or it's one of those weird things where I'm like,
Super Wog is displayed as Super Bro on versions of Netflix outside of Australia.
Yeah, it's like apparently in Australia, just the word
yes,
the word wog became so just plain default that everyone could comfortably get away with calling a TV
Saying
show,
it.
and their YouTube channels Super World, because that's, of course, if you don't know, these two are brothers, and they're like old OG YouTubers where they used to do all the skits and stuff, and I used to watch them back when I was in high school, so they're like 20 plus years at this stage, I feel. Which is the other funny thing about this, because they're playing the exact same characters, and they done their YouTube channel for however long. Then they did the ABC series, which then went to Netflix, the Super Bowl show, and now this is coming out like 5 years since the last one of that. Their style has not changed, which is a negative and a plus, because it is the exact same sort of dumb shit jokes that they would do on their YouTube channel, just now with a higher budget. And I completely understand why some people may not like this show at all or their style. I think I wasn't vibing much with the first episode, especially because most of it takes place in pretty much the same location, or at least it looks like, or is made to look like, the exact same fucking house that they've been filming YouTube videos in since like 2005 or whatever. But then after that, they set up like a season-long plot somehow that takes a bunch of the characters. They split up all the main characters, because again, for people who don't know, but so the two brothers, who I don't know names off the top of my head, but they play like multiple characters each. So one plays the main dude, and also plays the mother, and then the other guy plays the father, and then the best friend of the main character. So they're playing 4 characters each, and then even in one episode, like the 4th episode, where they go to an island that definitely isn't Jeffrey Epstein's island, but is definitely implied to be Jeffrey Epstein's island. And there's definitely a prince there who they never call Prince Charles, who probably is supposed to be Prince Charles.
Prince Andrew.
Yeah, Prince Andrew. Sorry. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like who? Yeah, Prince Andrew. But even then, they have like a bunch of other random characters for split seconds on screen. They play those as well. So, yeah, it's pretty much the story for this season, if they get another one, I guess, is that after having a big fight in the first episode, which is again where I was like, we're just doing the dad and the son fight thing, which is what they do in all their skits and Super Bowl TV series and whatever. He then like disappears, because basically in the first episode he gets a fine for his car, so he's trying to pay off the fine. So then the dad and the mum end up fighting, and the mum ends up leaving, and so then the dad somehow eats a bunch of really off vegetables in and then he gets a liver infection, and then it's just all the characters are split up at that point. They're all off doing their own wild antics, and they somehow managed to integrate some quite, especially considering the sort of stuff that they do. I was surprised when they had there was like literally an episode, I think like the 5th episode maybe, called I think it was called Red Pilled, Ethan, and it's like they they fucking like sit there and they flick through a bunch of YouTube videos and stuff, and they're watching him, the main dude and his best friend, they're like sitting there watching him, and they're just making fun of all the podcaster bros and all this stuff, including Theon Vaughn is obviously one of the dudes they're watching, Andrew fucking Tate and all these people. They're talking about it, and then all of a sudden they're like the grandma comes into the room and is like, do the dishes, and they're like, we're not doing the fucking dishes. Like, you know, that's a woman's job and all this sort of stuff. But I think they're trying to also play on the culture where, of course, the grandma then slaps the fuck out of them, and it's like, don't you dare talk to me like that, sort of thing. Yeah, so there was some like common stuff. There's an episode where they get jobs at Burger King, I think it's the 2nd episode somehow, and like it's a whole thing where they go in there and they feel like they've been working there for weeks, and then the whole episode plays out, and then they quit by the end of the episode. It turns out they'd only been there for 4 minutes. So it's just yeah, there was some stuff in there. I thought it was a lot better than I thought it would be, to be honest. I turned it on going, I'm going to expect the same sort of stuff that I'm used to them doing, but there was different styles of comedy, I think, out of that I wouldn't expect from them, to be honest. But I felt like I had to watch it because, I don't know, support the Aussies, you know, support the Aussie Netflix show.
Absolutely,
one of us has to.
I watched the other Australian sitcom that came out this week. You know, so we got all covers based.
Yeah, okay.
All bases covered.
Yeah,
some would say.
Okay.
You also watched the documentary Eileen, Queen of the Serial Killers.
Yeah, so another Netflix serial killer one. I was quite interested. I was interested coming into this one to see what they'll do because it was a movie, not a series. And honestly, usually the movies are better than the series. So, so if you don't know who Aileen, what's the last name? Warnos? Let me find it. Warnos, yeah. Most famous because Charlize Theron played her in the movie Monster, which she, of course, Academy Award for. But I quite enjoyed this documentary because it introduces, like, it covered, the first half probably covered a lot of stuff I'd seen covered in a documentary or two I'd watched before. But in the latter half, it introduced this woman. I don't remember her name. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's this person here, although I could be wrong. I'm just looking at the credits. I think it's this person. Jasmine Hurst, yeah. Who is she like artist. Did they quickly cover in this and say that she did a lot of art and did a lot of stuff to do with like rape survivors and stuff like that. So when Aileen's arrested, because serial killer, she killed a bunch of men. Her whole thing in court was protecting herself because the first dude tried to rape her and she protected herself. And then there was always the question about like, okay, even if that is true, then what about the rest? The other 5, I think it was 6 total. And then also why, like there was always lots of questions. Nonetheless, but the stuff I found interesting was when they introduced her and they have a bunch of footage with her, which I'd never seen before. She begins this relationship talking to Aileen and all these ladders and stuff of that for years. She travels to America to visit her at one point, and then years later she returns to visit her in their final days before she's put to death, lethal injection. Yeah, and all of that I found quite interesting because she gets all this footage from her where she tells the truth pretty much that I, like in her own words, it's like, yeah, that first dude did try to rape me and I killed him, but then after that, like this other guy and then at that point I was just like, fuck it, if I'm going to go to prison, I'm pretty much just going to go around looking for dudes I consider to be like, I'm going to deem creeps and I'm going to play like executioner more or less. So then it's like she more or less admits that she started killing these dudes because she was looking for fucked up people to kill because she thought she was already going to go to prison or something like that. But the Australian artist's point of view, I think, was pretty much of like, it didn't matter to her. And this is why I found it quite interesting. It didn't matter to her whether or not Aileen was lying the whole time or not. She just took the viewpoint of, here's a woman who was, because it's known that she was like raped and like abused in her childhood. So she was always very interested from the aspect of not what she did as an adult, but like how her, I guess, like what she did, like how her childhood led her to eventually become the person that she did become when she got older. It was a very interesting aspect for it, especially in a world where a lot of these serial killer documentaries are obviously quite the same. I do think there's something to be said about this. This one's different enough because I don't think Aileen is anything like the other serial killers that Netflix usually covers. Like it's usually a bunch of dudes' sexual desires, like wanting to, like her MO is at least not white dude wants to kill women, which is usually the serial killer MO. So,
all right. That's everything in our watch history. Let's move into a little bit of film news. I guess the biggest story relating to us this week is the confirmation that Doctor Who is returning, but not with Disney. Reading from The Guardian. The BBC have confirmed that the long-running sci-fi show will return to our screens, but with ratings failing and its Disney partnership ending, questions hang over its future. Sometimes the answer to one mystery only prompts more questions. That may well be the case with this week's announcements from the BBC that Doctor Who will return to BBC One with a 2026 Christmas special and a new series to follow, but that the show's international streaming partnership with Disney Plus will end. There was no indication of who might play the Doctor in next year's special, which will be written by Russell T Davies and produced by Bad Wolf with BBC Studios. I guess spoilers for the last season of Doctor Who, but the final episode of the 2025 season, The Reality War, appeared to show a departing 15th Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa, briefly regenerating into Billy Piper. Piper has previously played Rose Tyler, though he was previously played companion Rose Tyler. It was notable that she was not credited as the Doctor, leaving the future casting of one of British television's iconic roles very much up in the air. Lindsay Salt, director of drama at BBC, said, "We'd like to thank Disney Plus for being terrific global partners and collaborators over the past 2 seasons. The BBC remains fully committed to Doctor Who, which continues to be one of our most loved dramas. We are delighted that Russell T Davies has agreed to write us another spectacular Christmas special. We can assure fans that the Doctor is going nowhere, and we will be announcing plans for the next series in due course, which will ensure the TARDIS remains at the heart of the BBC." Fans have begun speculating, noting that the phrasing of the press release doesn't confirm that Davies will continue as showrunner, the role he has held for a second time since taking the helm for the 60th anniversary special in 2023. Nor does it commit the BBC to continue work with Bad Wolf and Cardiff, where the show has been made since its 2005 revival. Like many high-profile dramas, Doctor Who has been perceived to be struggling with diminishing linear transmission viewing figures. Episodes of the most recent series were regularly pulling in fewer than 2 million viewers live on BBC, a historic low for the long-running show. None of the ratings for this year's episode, including iPlayer views after 7 days, reached 4 million viewers, a significant slump compared with Jodie Whittaker's tenure. The Disney deal did not power Doctor Who to be the global streaming hit that both sides of the agreement must have been hoping for. Dylan, what are your thoughts on, the end of the Disney era of Doctor Who and it not returning until 2026?
I mean, I'm fine with that. I don't think losing the Disney partnership really means anything, to be honest. I don't think it, as seen across 2 seasons, what Shooty Gut was fine. Like, I don't feel like we're losing. I'm like, oh my god, the quality is going to drop so much. I'm like, whatever. Doctor Who is not also a show I'm ever like, man, we really need the big budget to get the best out of this show. It's like, it's never really been about that. It's just I'm like, Doctor Who just needs good stories. It doesn't need it can have B-grade special effects for all I care. That's sort of always been part of the charm, right? So it's just about the storytelling to me, and it is one of those things that all I ever think, like, they created a character that could run forever when they introduced the regeneration thing. There's literally no reason the show has to ever really end. And it's such a British mainstay that I do feel like in a world where literally all you have to do is write good stories. I know that's sort of easier said than done, but in a world where, like, to make the show successful, it should really just come down to, like, just write good stuff that people enjoy. I think time and time again it's been proven that, especially when it comes to, like, forget the worldwide thing. Let's just go back to focusing on, like, the show should be if Doctor Who's not popular in Britain, what are you doing? Like, whether or not it's popular in America or even Australia and whatever, if it's not popular in UK, what are you doing? Like, just I think they just need to scale it. To me, I'm like, maybe just going back to BBC, scale it back down. Let's just refocus yourselves. Figure this shit out. Stop thinking big picture. Stop. You know what that is? The show got so popular during the Matt Smith run, nearly, where they were invited to Comic-Con and all this sort of stuff, that I feel like they just saw dollars. Like, oh my god, like the height of the reboot series was probably around that Matt Smith. Like, obviously David Tennant through the Matt Smith, but I think Matt Smith era was really where probably the highest it ever was. Comic-Con, fucking panels, huge in America at the same time, and they saw this huge thing. But it's like, okay, well, it didn't last forever. It's fine. Just go back, reevaluate. What makes Doctor Who last? Just focus on telling good stories. Don't worry about it coming back to bloody Comic-Con and making worldwide billions of dollars with Disney. Just, get your shit together.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that it didn't work, I guess, the whole Disney thing. I think an element of that is that Disney didn't get the back catalog. Like, I don't know that this run was the greatest entry point, especially with so much, like, so many references to past stuff. Especially when the jumping on point was, here's the 10th Doctor again, but is the same but with a different face. That's the introduction to Doctor Who on Disney Plus. No, not great.
And then the last one was like build up to, here's the Rani, a character who hasn't been seen since the 80s, and if you want to watch her stories, you can't.
Yes, it didn't lend itself to new fans in the end. And it going back to basics. I mean, this is one of the good examples of a partnership like this is that BBC still hold all the cards. They've got control over the IP.
Mm.
They didn't sell the horse.
They didn't
to
lose
Disney.
anything, really.
They didn't lose anything.
Tried
I
something,
guess
didn't
maybe
work,
those
move
2
on.
seasons of Doctor Who will be stuck on Disney Plus forever.
Yeah. It will be interesting to see if when the new season comes back, if it's season 1 again, though.
Yeah, if they start again, or it's like, here's series 16.
Yeah.
There was that weird 2-year gap where maybe he was a black dude. We don't remember. Nobody remembers. I mean, I guess the only thing is the long wait until we find out, because they left it on such a crazy cliffhanger. But I think they need that time to prepare the next season, because obviously maybe they need to scale down what their plans are. Like, they're not going to have Disney Plus money to do crazy spaceships and talking babies. And
Russell T Davies was brought in as a very obvious break glass moment.
In case of emergency.
Similar to what's happening at Marvel with the Russo brothers coming back. Go find someone who is not going to pitch it based on tying in all these other characters, nostalgia and references and stuff. In fact, I reckon you need to find someone that's about our age. I'm not saying that. You need to find someone like our age who was watching the early 2000s, like the early reboot stuff, loved all that, and sort of has I just want to do that. Because the thing about when you watch the first 5-6 seasons of the reboot run, there were references to stuff, but I didn't fucking get them, and I didn't feel like I was missing anything.
It didn't feel important to know.
Didn't feel important, and there were so many new monsters. There were so many new things introduced. There's most of the most prominent storylines and monsters and creatures and stuff were all new that stand out from that time. So you need someone who's gets that and goes, that's what I want to do. I want to create new. Yes, I'll do a TARDIS story once every 2 seasons or so. You know what I mean? Like Sidon and whatever.
A Dalek story, yeah.
Dalek story. But yeah, I'm here to tell new and interesting stories.
Yeah. So I guess, up in the air, where's it going to stream here in Australia? What are the global streaming rights going to be?
Just go back to ABC.
Maybe. Or does some streaming service take a chance?
Doubt it.
On if BBC is just footing the bill and it's just re-airing it around the world,
What is interesting is we still have one more show coming to Disney Plus at the end of the year, the Sea Devil thing or whatever the hell it is.
Yes, when the world's something with it. I can't remember what it's called.
Torchwood. That's not Torchwood.
The war between land and sea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm keen for. I think it looks good.
I don't remember seeing anything in a while, so we'll see. It's been a while. Yeah, I think that's all the news we need to cover this week. Let's move into talking about some thumbs up trailers. Of course, you can find all the trailers we're about to talk about in the show notes below. Kicking things off, Scream 7, directed by Kevin Williamson, starring Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, Mason Goodings, Jasmine Savoy Brown, Roger L. Jackson, David Arquette, Isabella May, and Joel McHale. When a new Ghostface killer emerges in the quiet town where Sidney Prescott has built a new life, her darkest fears are realized as her daughter becomes the next target. Determined to protect her family, Sidney must face the horrors of her past to put an end to the bloodshed once and for all. Dylan, did this trailer raise your interest in Scream 7 at all?
No, fuck this movie. Hashtag respect Melissa Barrera. What's the hashtag we're using? Free Palestine. Fuck this movie. I don't care for it. Trailer was shit, even if I didn't feel that way. I feel. Here's the thing: huge Scream fan. Fuck this movie. Yeah, that's how I feel. I didn't even watch the trailer until you put it in the list. That was my care factor. I hadn't even watched it, and then when you added it, I was like, I guess I'll watch it now.
One, this was a quiet week for trailers, and two, it kind of felt like it needed to be discussed.
Yeah. I mean, look, I just don't know how people can watch. Like, there's no way that even people who are so tuned out to what happens behind the scenes in the world with movies or whatever, that's fine. But how can you watch this and go, where the fuck are those sisters from the last two movies? Like, where's Melissa Barrera? Where's Jenna Ortega? Where's Wednesday? Jenna Ortega's huge now, right? So, like, she's bigger than Melissa, obviously. She's blown up since the reboot film and stuff. Who the fuck is watching this not going, what happened to them? Where are they? I'll tell you the fucking answer. Melissa Barrera's basically said free Palestine, got fired, and then Jenna Ortega's she's a real one and said, fuck this, I'm out too. Like, that's what happened.
And then the director
did it as well, said, no, fuck this, I'm out too.
Well, I'm sure it's like, this is too hard. Put it in too hard basket and left. And
which,
now
to be fair,
dragged Kevin Williamson back.
Yeah.
To direct. I'll give it 1 up, 1 down. It looks fine. It just kind of looks nothing particularly interesting about it, you know. I do enjoy clearly what was the opening sequence, you know, the cold open. With what's his face from a bunch of comedy stuff. You know, playing around in steak is the in world. Steak themed house. But yeah, I mean, I don't know who watched this trailer and does it go, oh, they're doing Panic Room? That's weird.
I don't see this movie doing well.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, good for Neve Campbell getting a bag or whatever, but getting back to the forefront. But, you know, who's it going to be, you know?
Actually, I want to say, no hate to her. I thought I was bleeding, but that's pen. I just put my hand up and I was like, oh, shit.
Shit. I badmouthed screaming, now I'm bleeding.
I was complaining about screaming. You can probably watch that video back and see me just put my hand up to say something. It's corner of my go, what the fuck? Oh, right, it's pen. I was like, how am I complaining about screaming? I've got stabbed. Like, what the fuck? That's the spin-off movie, Stab.
That's it, Stab.
So no hate on Neve Campbell or anything, but like she got pissed off because she wasn't in the last one. I understand that she's the lead, you know, she's the main character for the franchise and all that sort of stuff. But we moved on. Whether or not the internet did collectively, the answer is no, because people were up in arms about the last one and how she wasn't in it and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, I was happy to move on, because how many times can you have the same, like, just storyline wise?
Like, literally, how many times can just random people keep attacking the same person?
Yeah. I was, and I know that I'm definitely not in the minority with this, because I know most people were angry that she wasn't in the last one and that she was take off. But I was ready. I was like fine with it. I'm like, it's okay. We did the passing of the torch in the film before, you know, moved on. Now, like, she's back and I'm like, okay, whatever.
All right. If you are interested, Scream 7 is coming to cinemas on the 26th of February 2026.
Go watch Abigail. Just watch Abigail. You know, from the directors who did those last good Scream movies, also co-starring Melissa Barrera.
Yeah. Next trailer is for Little Emily, or the character of Rain. Directed by Melissa Validi and Lian Cho Han. Starring Lily Gilliam, Francesca Kahlo, Paige Leong, Jane Tani, and Brent Mukai. Emily is a young Belgian girl born in Japan. Thanks to Nishio-san, her nanny, the world is full of adventures and discoveries. But on her 3rd birthday, an event changes the course of her life. For Emily, at that age, everything is predetermined, happiness as well as tragedy. So what do you think of this French animated film trailer?
Yeah, it looks stunning. It looks very, very beautiful. I didn't know what the hell this was until I clicked on it, and then was like, oh, this is some beautiful shit, eh? I didn't really get what the story, to be honest, what you just said, I didn't really get from the trailer, but I might have been too zoned out just going, is this like,
it's pretty colorless.
Hand drawn? Like, it looks all hand drawn to me, so it was, yeah. But yeah, double thumbs up.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up for me. I think it's one of the most interestingly animated, kind of out there. Like, it seems like a blend of like anime and also the what's the studio from Ireland? They did Wolfwalkers.
Yeah. I don't know his name, but yeah.
Cartoon Saloon. Their kind of art style that it seems to be a melding of those kind of styles. And I think this film perfectly depicts that first moment that you taste chocolate for the first time. It's a life-changing experience.
I don't remember the first time I had chocolate. Do you remember the first time you had chocolate?
No, but I imagine it happened it was like this.
You imagine it was a life-changing experience.
But yeah, looks very pretty. The buzz in the trailer seems to be very good. Word of mouthing, that kind of stuff. So I'm excited to see when it comes to Australia, which we don't have an Australian release date yet, but it is set to release in the States on the 7th, so this week. Next trailer is for Thackham House.
Excuse you?
No, Thackham Mall.
Whoa.
Directed by Jim O'Hanlon, starring Ben Radcliffe, Thomasin McKenzie, Catherine Waterston, Lizzie Hopley, Emma Laird, Damian Lewis, and Tom Felton. A spoof that crosses Downton Abbey with Airplane and Monty Python. Thackham Mall follows lovable pickpocket Derek Nowen, as he lands a job in the unique English manor. He quickly rises through the ranks, and a forbidden romance with Lady of the House Rose Davenport blossoms. But when an unexpected murder occurs, Eric gets framed, leaving Rose and her family's future perilously uncertain. Tom, what did you think of the trailer for Thackham Mall?
Double thumbs up. This is very good. I think the thing that got me with this is once it took me probably 30 seconds in the trailer to realize it was a parody of, Downton Abbey and all that sort of stuff. But once I did, I think the thing that I was appreciating the most was just, it's not like no offense to the actors, but it's not like a scary movie spin-off thing where it's like a bunch of B-tier actors. Like when I was like, oh, it's a spoof movie, but it actually has good actors.
Wow. The Anna Faris shade.
Sorry.
Shade.
I got nothing but respect for Anna Faris, Fuck Chris Pratt. But Catherine Waterston's in this, She's a real actress. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up from me. It feels like a type of spoof that we have not had in a while.
Mm.
Not only the double entendres, the flatulence, the just ridiculousness of some situations, including someone not closing the wine door cellar, and
someone walking straight into it.
The introduction of the clearly what's his name from Death on the Nile and Murder on the Orient Express, the director who's
I'm trying to think of someone that's in both those things.
Hercule Poirot character, the detective character who's introduced
with the mustache and everything.
With the mustache, which is also a cover, just a stick-on mustache that looks ridiculous. Just the element of parody of that, just very funny. Yeah, completely unexpected, but is definitely one of the funniest trailers I think I've seen in a while. And just tonally something you don't see very much of anymore. But yes, which isn't surprising because it's got it's written by a cavalcade of like comedy people, like Jimmy Carr, Patrick Carr, Andrew Dawson, Steve Dawson, and Tim Inman all wrote the screenplays. A bunch of British comedians. Shocking. What was it? No, I can't remember. What was the closing line that he screws up?
For all their souls, or something like fucking souls.
We're here to celebrate for these assholes.
For these assholes. Oh, for all their souls. Yeah.
We pray for these souls. Yeah. Just great wordplay. Anyway, Thackham Mall is coming to Australian cinemas on the 19th of February.
Oh, that was the best. So like, Thackham Mall, exactly.
Next trailer is for He Had It Coming. Credited by Greta Vella, Craig Anderson, Emma Hoy, Belinda King, Nick Coyle, and Hannah Samuel. Starring Lydia West, Natasha Leo Bordizzo, and Liv Hewson. This comedic whodunit sees two women accidentally entangle themselves in a murder mystery after their spontaneous feminist art activism is co-opted by a killer. Barbara is a fashion influencer who champions #girlpower online and prefers parties over protests. While Elise is an awkward English exchange student determined to reinvent herself as a one-woman Pussy Riot, but is terrified of getting in trouble. After a chance meeting in art class and a shared frustration with the men in their lives, they form an unlikely alliance and spearhead a kill all men art project. Dylan, what do you think of the trailer for the new Australian series, He Had It Coming?
Man, I really hope Sabine Wren can figure out what the hell is going on in her school, because it's a wild time. Yeah, double thumbs up. This is up my alley. It looks like a fun time to me. I was excited for this when they announced it, because I remember when Stan sent out a press release when they were like, periodically, whenever they start shooting a new series, they like usually send out an email. It's like, we started shooting.
Here's a bunch of stuff.
Here's a bunch of information. I looked at the cast and I was sort of excited by that, because I was like, man, all right, well, the girl who plays Sabine Wren's in it, and then Liv Houston's in it, who obviously Yellow Jacks is what they're most famous for at this point. And the general pitch, I was like, yeah, this sounds like something I'll be into. And then watch the trailer, and yeah, it just looks funny to me. So double thumbs up. The shooting the porno then was a good bit. The internet wants what the internet wants.
Yeah. 2 thumbs up. Looks really great. Really interesting. Everybody seems to have a really solid comedic timing. Lots of fun creatives on the project. Rachel House is one of the directors on the show. So if she doesn't pop up, I will be very surprised at some point.
Surely should pop up at least for a small cameo.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, just the concept of, them trying to do this art project and then, it being co-opted by some person who's killed a dude. And it looks like they very much deserve it.
It has to turn out to be a dude, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to say it right now. Because it has to or maybe I'm just being too obvious, but I mean, the most obvious twist thing is, like, they're looking for a crazy feminist that's doing all this stuff.
Yes.
It'll just turn out to be a dude who's, like, making it look like it's crazy feminist.
Yes.
That would be the most obvious sort of twist revelation to me, but yeah.
I mean, the joke's obvious, but, the dude going, do you know what it's like to be a guy scared at night?
Scared to walk home at night? You fucking kidding, dude?
And you know it's going to be good based on the YouTube comments.
Yeah, I saw that.
Any non-woke shows coming up, and gotta love how this is funded by Screen Australia and Screen New South Wales. It's great to see tax dollars going towards slop like this that would never actually get made without it. So yeah, if it's butt hurting these kind of people, it's got to be good. Yeah, He Had It Coming. It's coming to Stan on the 20th of November. Final trailer for this week: Stranger Things Season 5, created by Matt Duffer and Ross Duffer, starring Winona Ryder, David Arbor, Finn Wolfhard, Millie Bobby Brown, Gatton Manizaro, Caleb McLaughlin, Noah Schnapp, Sadie Sink, Natalia Dyer, Charlie Heaton, Joe Keery, Maya Hawke, Priya Ferguson, Brett Gelman, Cara Buono, and Jamie Campbell Bower. A year after the events of the 4th season in the fall of 1987, the group seeks to find and kill Vecna after the rift opens in Hawkins. The mission becomes complicated when the military arrives in Hawkins and begins hunting 11. As the anniversary of the Will Byers disappearance approaches, the group must fight one last time against a deadly threat. Dylan, what are your thoughts on the trailer for Season 5 of Stranger Things?
One up, one down. Like, the trailer's very built on you feeling things, which is predicated on you still caring. And we've talked about it before, obviously. It's not that I've got some weird, it's not like I've turned wholly on the series, but like, it's just taken so long that I just currently I'm like, I don't know if I care. Like, I'm gonna watch it, but yeah, I'm just so. I mean, even when I was watching it, I was like, I had a thought. I was halfway through a trailer, and then my brain just go, man, Season 5. I feel like I've been watching this show for 10 years. And I had to look it up. I was like, oh, it started in 2016. So I have nearly been watching it for 10 years, There's just all these things where you're like, man, Millie Bobby Brown was a little girl when the show started. Now she's fucking married. Like, what?
She's married with a kid.
Like, what the fuck? Well, it took so long. That said, I know everyone in the comments I saw in the trailer was like, thank you, Netflix, for finishing a show. And all these. Yes, thank you, Netflix, for finishing a show that makes you lots of money. I'm so glad. Yeah, I don't know. if you were to say like what would it take to get you like excited again? I don't think there's anything that could get me excited other than if I press play on that first episode and like the storytelling draws me back into that world. Yeah, that's just sort of where I'm at. I don't think no trailer is going to do it for me. I just need the show to actually be good. Yeah, it's also just another thing I was thinking watching it was like, man, this show went from like a child's gone missing crazy supernatural twist on like a thriller to what the fuck am I watching here? It's just everyone's got guns and there's it's crazy. Anyway, yeah.
I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up. I think it was effective, and did get me excited again. It did a good enough job of reminding me where the story was and ended, because it has been a long time. Although it is, again, kind of weird seeing some of the kids, especially Dustin, like wearing that hat and having the long hair is like, you're trying to be the same age as you were before. It's not quite working. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see questions answered, things come to a conclusion. So, yeah, I'm got me hyped and excited, especially with the release schedule, which again they confirmed. Volume 1, November 26th. Volume 2, December 25th, and the final episode, 31st of December. Now they are showing some. They're going to show this final episode in some theaters in the US. Hopefully that'll be the case here in Australia, but I don't think so. Maybe purely because of like time zones and that kind of stuff. They want to have it released at the same time as the final episode airs or is released, I guess. Which, I think that would be pretty cool to see that final episode in the cinema. So
it's a crazy choice to put that Lily Allen song in the trailer, though. I thought.
Yep.
You would have thought they would have been a bit more sensitive, but whatever works for the marketing. I heard they added a new character to this season called Melanie too. It's cool. I'm pulling some deep Lily Allen album jokes out.
Well, I don't know if it's true, but as I'm looking up the facts for the trailer, it's like one of the articles that comes up about Strange Things. Millie Bobby Brown accuses David Harper of bullying and
that
abuse.
Came out this morning. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, to be fair, that's a real thing. It is a Daily Mail article, though. So
yes, that's the thing. Yeah.
I'm holding my
judgment.
My judgment until I get something that's not from the Daily Mail.
From an actual source.
Credible source. That's the other thing with this series is there's just a lot of like it's crazy. The other thing is like Will Byers is in this, just holding up stickers that say Zionism is sexy. Oh wait, sorry, that was Noah Schnapp on his TikTok account, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's been some things that have,
you're rooting for Vecna in that moment,
Yeah. So that's the other problem with obviously taking so long for this. It's like
just problematic things guys can't build up.
So many like things have happened.
It can arise,
with this cast.
The sooner you get it done, the sooner you can be not associated with the people in it.
Yeah. That said, so far as everyone's aware, everyone's beloved Joe Carey, I believe, is still not cancelled. So
yeah,
I think we're fine.
Yeah, everybody likes Phil Wolfhard. Sadie Sink is probably gotten bigger since.
Sadie Sink's well beloved, yeah. So, I think there's a mix,
Everybody likes
I think people are turned on Noah Schnapp and Millie Bobby Brownie, and if people then turn on David Harbour, like half the cast will just be, it'll be a mix.
Yeah.
It'll be a
and everybody loves Winona Ryder, so
yeah, Winona Ryder can do no.
Don't challenge her though. All right, let's move on to this week's top 3. And with a new Predator movie about to hit cinemas, this week's top 3 is top 3 movie aliens.
This is a dumb list. Well, this is one of those ones where I'm like, what do you mean top 3? Like the 2 spots are locked. I'm just picking a third. Like, what the fuck are we?
Are they?
Yeah.
All right. What's your number 3?
I feel like I should do it number 1 first. Let's change things up.
Okay. Sure. Go ahead. What's your number 1?
Xenomorph. It's a fucking alien. It's the alien. It's the creature. It's the scariest alien in movie history. It is the most recognizable. Xenomorph from Alien series. Locked. Number 1. Easy.
My number 1. Yoda from Star Wars.
That's a dumb answer.
He's cool, he's small, but he's got all these cool force powers, and he treats Luke like a piece of shit.
So the thing is, I don't
And
view
then
Star Wars
you see him
characters
younger,
as aliens.
and he becomes a bitch. He's just in patrol. It's enjoyable. I mean, technically, he's not human, so thus he's alien.
No, but I just don't think of them as like they're just. What? I don't know.
Listen, I resisted the urge very greatly to put Superman on this list because
It's technically literature, yeah.
Because but he said he's so human in this last movie. So I mean,
yeah.
Dylan, what's number 2?
The Predator, second most recognizable popular alien in movie history. Or what's their official name is the Yutjai. I feel like Google that. It's Yutja or something. What's the actual name of the predators? What's the species name? Give me that. It starts with Y. How's Google AI not just giving you the answer straight away?
Yatja.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I had the actual name for the alien sound as
Yutja.
Yeah, I couldn't think of what the predators was, but yeah, yeah. I mean, they're the apex predators. They're the hunters. They're the scariest fuck, but they're also very cool. Now, they're the sort of thing that if you put a bunch of figurines and statues of them in your room, they'll look badass. But as long as you keep the helmets on, you take those bad boys off, and you're like, it's a horror movie all of a
sudden. Yeah. My number 2 is Stitch, the most adorable little alien creature. Very love him in the animated movie. Love him in the live action movie. Probably a little bit of recency bias. But how can you not love that little furry alien monster?
I just think my brain auto locks certain things. It's very different to you, but that's fine.
Yes. Dylan, what's number 3?
Number 3, yeah. So this is where I actually had to think about it. I was like, what do I want number 3 to actually be? Because the other 2 were just straight down. I just went 1, 2, bang, bang. All right, picking 3. What I've ended up going with, I was going for so because I think maybe because of the rest of the list, I was just like very recognizable to me, like very popular. I've ended up on the prawns from District 9 as I think a very, of course, they're only one movie, but I think just the design, giving them, just making them actual characters, and I guess even also their, the pseudo stand-in point for what they represent in the real world. But yeah, their design and the way they work and everything, like they're just probably, I think over the last 20, 30 years, I think they came out 2009. So nearly 20 years, I guess, of cinema. They're probably the most standout new alien species, yeah.
All right. My number 3 is Neytiri from Avatar. Played by Zoe Saldana. Should have been Academy Award nominated because she was fantastic in that first film. Really great in the second film. I mean, all those crazy giant blue people, in general, probably should. The whole Na'vi race, super impressive. So, but as a singular character, I think Neytiri is probably the most interesting. Which is where I think we've differed in our focus. I was looking
at species.
Yes, you were looking at species. I came from it, a specific characters, which was me trying to shoehorn the Predator. It's a Predator leading movie. This one, So we just came at it with different thoughts.
I did nearly have Na'vi as another prominent alien species. Yeah.
So Dylan, what do you want to watch this week?
I would like to watch a new Predator film, please. I hope it tells a really engaging story. I'm actually. I mean, you're going to watch this as well. It'll be really interesting to see. I think how this plays out, because it's so different for the franchise, and it's just such an interesting decision, I guess, to take anytime you take something that's a villain, like viewed as a villain in wholly since its inception,
as the antagonist,
nearly 40 years of cinema, as the antagonist, and quite often just written as mindless, just hunting machines, other than in some spin-off comics published by Dark Horse Comics and stuff over the years. In the movies, the Predators always just sort of, they just hunt. There's nothing more to them. They're not given much more on the films or anything like that. So, to now make them to make one of the characters the lead star, and we're going to have to presumably feel for them on this journey. I'm really hopeful for this one.
All right.
And on the TV front, don't fucking remember what was coming up. What is there anything I care about? Don't think so.
Probably not.
Don't think so. Let me just have a quick double check. No, I got nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
Pluribus is next week, right?
nope.
It's this weekend.
It's
Friday.
this
All right,
this Friday.
Okay, cool. All right, that's my answer.
So you really
obviously.
don't care about this because you know exactly what was coming out.
I thought it came out on Monday. I might have had my.
Why would it come out on Monday?
Because I thought it came out on like Sunday in America or something.
No.
Okay. Well, Pluribus is obviously my answer.
Yep. Okay.
What are we doing?
What? Look forward to a discussion of Pluribus next week. Yes, Predator Badlands, definitely excited for. We'll shout out Frankenstein is coming to Netflix this week. And then the other Netflix movie that's got my attention, come to cinemas this week, Train Dreams. I've heard a lot of things about starring Joel Edgerton, tiny and indie movie. Before it hits Netflix on the 21st of November. You can check it out in select cinemas. On the TV front, yes, Pluribus is going to be the big release, but then Sarah Snook is starring in a show called All Her Faults, I think on what streaming service is that coming? It's coming to Binge, which is pretty much another one of those shows about a woman whose son's gone kidnapped.
Miniseries.
Another miniseries. Another one of them child gets kidnapped shows.
It is a genre of in itself.
It is. It's so common. It's its own subgenre. So, let us know what you want to watch this week by going to find us on social media at explosionnetwork.com/follow. If you want to help us out here at What Do You Want to Watch, leave us a review at our podcast or on Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars. And you can leave 5 stars or just tell people about the show. And if you want to support us more here at explosionnetwork.com, head over to explosionnetwork.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.